This is the Jim Masters Show Live, entertainment, lifestyle, celebrity talk show series coming to you from the East Coast of the United States, the New York area. So good to have you with us. Thanks for joining us. If this is your first time here at JMS, welcome to the show. It's nice to have you here. I'm your host, Jim Masters. And if you want to interact with us, you can. You can comment. You can interact while the show is on live. And of course, you can always do that later in the comments section on our YouTube channel as well. Boy, are we graced and blessed and very happy to have an extraordinary world-renowned guest on our show, world-renowned acting coach, film director, producer, and actress herself. The incomparable Michelle Danner is joining us from Los Angeles, from Tinseltown, from Hollywood, from California. She's got some extraordinary stories of incredible, iconic people she has coached, she has trained, who are now brilliant actors and actresses. Also her company and fabulous films that she has directed and she's been involved in the creation of, including a new one coming up that's riveting. We're very excited to have her on the show and excited to have all of you here. So let's get everything started. It's so great to have you here. If you'd like to comment during the show, we do have a chat room that's open and available, the Lovely Hole chat room, we call it, here at the Jim Masters Show. And we subscribe to the channel, Jim Masters TV on YouTube. You can comment and interact, say hello to one another, and say hello to us. So let's get started with JMS right now. And we introduce Michelle Danner to you. She, again, is a master of her craft. She's been doing this for a long time, and she is one of the premier people doing what she does. There aren't many people who can point to a career full of success as a performer, a teacher, a storyteller, an entrepreneur, and expert. Well, Michelle Danner can, and she does. The legendary acting teacher and founder of the Creative Center for the Arts and the Los Angeles Acting Conservatory. She's also well established as a successful film director. And her upcoming film, Miranda's Victim, is absolutely extraordinary. Luke Wilson in it, and Ryan Phillippe, and Abigail Breslin, and Emily Van Camp, all these incredible names that you know. Kyle MacLachlan, Dan Lauria, just to name a few, Donald Sutherland. The film tells a story of Trish Weir Breslin, who was kidnapped. She was brutally raped by Ernesto Miranda. And the subsequent trials went all the way to the Supreme Court and led to the creation of Miranda rights. Now, of course, I'm sure you've heard about that. You've heard about it talked about on the news, in the news. Well, we're going to tell you about this incredible film and the importance of it as well. And this is just one of several films that she's had an opportunity to participate in an extraordinary way. We're very honored to have her here. I'm going to talk also quickly about some other fabulous things. The Runner is another terrific one. And here's another one, Bad Impulse, and just to name a few. But as I mentioned, she's been doing this for a long time. And she has worked with some of your favorite actors and actresses. You want to know who? Well, I can give you some of the names. Michelle has, as an international film director and acting coach, her student list includes Henry Cavill and Gerard Butler, as I mentioned, Abigail Breslin, and also Penelope Cruz. She's worked with Andy Garcia, Salma Hayek, James Franco, Seth Macfarlane, Michelle Rodriguez, and many others. Luke Wilson, Emily Van Camp, Donald Sutherland, Kyle MacLachlan, Ryan Phillippe, Chris Rock, Josh Bowman, just to name a few, through the Michelle Danner Acting Studio, all based in Los Angeles, California. It's my pleasure to welcome her to our show, gang. We're going to have a fascinating conversation. And before we do that, we have a little clip we want to show you of Michelle talking about her work, talking about the extraordinary things that she does. This is The Golden Box with our very special guest, Michelle Danner. A little clip here, and then we'll bring her right on the show for you. Good to have you with us.
Hi, I'm Michelle Danner. I have developed a technique called the Golden Box that is taught at the studio, where artists can draw upon all different teachings: Adler, Meisner, Strasberg, Hagen, Chekhov, and Stanislavski. Every actor is unique, and so it's important when they script analyze and build a character, whether it be for film, television, or stage, that they find concepts, tools that specifically work for them. Our philosophy is when it comes to the craft of acting, every artist should form a toolbox, their very own golden box. I'm looking forward to talking to you.
So nice, huh? That's just a little bit of a clip there for you. And we'll tell you more about how you can participate and all the rest. But first, let's welcome her live and direct from Los Angeles, California. Michelle, welcome for the first time, and I'm sure not the last, to the Jim Masters Show.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Fantastic. I am doing very, very well. How are things there in the LA area? Nice and warm and sunny today, I hope.
It's getting a little colder now. We also have our version of what winter looks like.
Yes.
and then it rains.
Well, from what I'm seeing on the screen and the glow that you have and the glow of your set, which is actually sort of your studio, everything looks bright and sunny in California. Tell us about that fabulous room that you're in, because that's where a lot of action happens, right?
Yes, well, I have a little screen. It's like a screening room, and I have lots of movies and from all over the world and books from all over the world. But not only do I spend a lot of time here writing and doing, Zoom, Skype, but my children also come here, this little screening room, and they watch movies, they go to marathon, they build Legos. Whoa. So there's a lot of creativity that happens in this room.
Oh, that's so fantastic. Before we get into your extraordinary, legendary, world-renowned expertise as an acting coach, what inspired you early on in your own career, your own life story, to pursue acting from the very, very beginning? Family influences, or was it something that you individually pursued on your own, Michelle?
Well, I always ask my students, where do you get your artistic genes from? And so my mother was a dancer and a singer and an actress. My father was a producer. He opened the very first William Morris agency in Paris in 1964. He was the president, and he would bring me to work as I grew up, and I played under his desk, and all these incredible icons, of the entertainment world would come and sit and talk to him about their dreams. And I probably soaked all that up. As I started to grow up, I started to, go to a lot of museums in Paris and lots of movies and lots of theater. And I started to write and to act. And so my upbringing, and I traveled all over Europe, so my upbringing was very much, in that part of the world before we moved back to the States when I was a teenager.
What a great chain of events and experiences for you early on that you were exposed to, huh?
Yes, I was very lucky. I really feel that my upbringing and my sisters, because I'm the oldest of 4 girls, was very rich because we grew up in Europe.
So, that experience of Europe, and then of course here in the States, you're able to sort of blend that into your work. What would you say, aside from having that phenomenal familial background, what would be one of the earlier breaks for you as an actress? Those opportunities, a project, a film, whatever it is, commercial, could be anything, that really sort of opened the doors for you as first the performer?
I was very fascinated by the story of Antigone, the Greek tragedy, and I found this play by the French writer Jean Anouilh, and I mounted it in a theater a little bit outside of Paris, and I asked everybody to be in it, and a lot of people came, and at the end, we passed around the hat and people gave donations, and we split it up amongst the cast. And it was an extraordinary night. We made this play come to life. I always loved that story. And this probably was a great defining moment because I'd been very proactive in going to the city, asking them to give us the theater, getting the cast together. I directed it. It was a very fulfilling project. But my life has been filled with turning points and defining moments. Certainly, I think studying with Stella Adler in New York City when I was a teenager was one of them. I learned a great deal from her. I've always taken lots of acting classes, and I was always involved in plays. And it wasn't until I moved to Los Angeles that I started to direct film. And and enjoyed that storytelling process so much. But I'm constantly going back and forth between the theater and between film and teaching. I love all of it. I can't tell you that there's one that I love more than the other, and that question is asked often of me. I love to act. I love to express myself that way. I love to direct. I love to produce. Every aspect of storytelling fascinates me.
What were some things that you took with you when you were studying with Stella Adler? Were there a few things that stood out for you that still resonate with you today, Michelle?
All of her famous quotes. Your talent lies in your choices. I think that created early on a light bulb that went off inside of me in terms of making choices in your work, really stamping your signature, going for it. Um, yeah, I felt very lucky to be able to study. Not only did I study with Stella, I studied with Hagen, I studied with Herbert Bergdorf, uh, with Bill Esper, some really wonderful teachers that have shaped, the philosophy that I teach. But I never believed in one way. The same way, that with my kids, I believe in progressive education. I believe the same for actors. You have to go with the times, and everything becomes redefined. Nothing stays the same. So to really tell an actor, just study the method, Stanislavski technique or Stella's technique or Meisner technique. I believe that there's elements of every technique that are so powerful, and you put them into a golden box that each artist creates themselves, called their own golden box, where you put all the tools that you learn from different techniques, and then whatever you learn when you book a job, whether it be, on set or on stage, and then life lessons are tools as well, and those join all those other tools in that very unique box that every actor puts together for themselves.
I love the idea, and I was happy to play that short little promo teaser video there of the golden box. It's such a great concept. It's such a positive uh, reinforcement to have that sort of toolkit, that thing you can keep going back to refer to when you use it to incorporate, when you're performing. I loved that idea. So many different things about your method are so special and unique and customized for the individuals you work with. You've worked with, as I mentioned in the introduction at the top of the show, extraordinary talents who've gone on to tremendous success. What is it you look for in an actor, in an actress, that spark, that something in their eyes, their delivery, the vibe? What are some of the things, as a seasoned expert as you are, having been on all sides, directing, producing, performing, and of course, coaching those who want to pursue this? What are some key things you look for?
Well, I think that to me, what defines a great performance, a great actor, is a willingness to take risks, to take chances, to really get out of your head and play the scene, inhabit the character. Um, and throughout the years, I have been lucky enough to work with some extraordinary artists in my class and on set and on stage. Um, I love actors. I love the collaboration with actors, that decision that you make together that you're going to tell the story in that way. But I think that there's an element of risk that needs to happen across the boards, including from my end. I have to be able to risk it. So you can't worry too much how it's going to come across. If it's, if you're likable, if it's, correct, politically correct. You just have to really be willing to tell the story in a heightened way, and whatever choices serve best, illuminate best the story itself. What are the choices you're going to make that are going to make it come to life?
How have, like for you, it's a question I've asked a lot of folks who have come through on this show and even in my professional work in broadcast. Um, when you are, and again, this is part of the beauty of what you teach and what people can benefit from, one element of it. When somebody is so immersed in the character that they're playing, and maybe it's an ongoing character, they're on weekly on episodic television, or it's a stage performance that's going for weeks, or they've invested so much time in this major motion picture, and they're very invested emotionally, physically, in this particular role, almost to where sometimes you hear performers say the role consumed them. They sort of almost forgot who they were because they were so immersed in becoming the character that they were portraying. How have you been able to, as a performer, and what are some of the ways that you teach your students to be able to take that role on and immerse yourself, but also not necessarily completely lose yourself in the role where you almost lose who you are?
I don't think that you're going to lose who you are. I mean, that's what you sign up for as an actor. It's that magic. You enter the tunnel of your imagination and you inhabit this person. You have their flame burn inside of you really high, and you do lose yourself in it as much as you can. That's the risk. And then when they call cut, or when it's the end of a show, you take off the makeup and you take off the costume of the character, and you go back to you go back to your life, to what you've created. Now listen, I have been acting recently. I was acting in a movie called The Italians, which was a lot of fun because it was a comedy. And I so the character was more impatient than I am, uh, more willful in a way than I am. She has like a strong character, more demanding, yelling. So I did find, after we called cut and I put my clothes on after I went home, I found myself being just a little bit more of a short fuse with my kids. I mean, I felt the character seep in, and it's unavoidable. I mean, you have to accept it. That's what you're signing up for. But then I think once you shed the character, once it's a wrap and once it's over and you move on to something else, then you realize, oh, some of that really took me over, but it's okay. I mean, it depends, of course, what character it is. In this case, I was doing a comedy. If you're doing, a horror movie or something,
Yeah.
you know, a character a little, more, dangerous, then
Yeah.
I think you have to just, really be aware. You have to be aware because you're human. But the idea of, great acting, great interpretation is to lose yourself. You can't like hold yourself back. You just want to go and and really bring out, the flame of this person as much as possible.
How has the beautiful answer? Thanks for that. How has the profession, the craft, changed over the years, and how has the advancements in technology, and of course, right now they're talking about AI and how to handle all that, but the advancements in technology, our attention spans, how has the art form reacted to or worked through all of the recent things that have come into, everyday life and society, and how have you seen it change over the years?
Well, I think improvisation has something that has grown, that actors have started, and we're talking going back now, a few decades, but actors have started to embrace that more and more because a lot of the gold is in those spontaneous moments, with no artifice. Um, that people can just, be very off the cuff with. So those are some great moments to embrace. Yet things have changed. Obviously, the reality shows have come on, and but even with reality shows, the reality shows that are the most interesting are the most heightened ones. Um, to me, I mean, I know there's people that spend 24 hours watching people live in some shows online, but we're talking about interesting reality shows. AI, yeah, I mean, it is a point of contention right now, and rightly so, with the Screen Actors Guild and all the negotiations that are happening. I mean, that to me, I think should be a no-brainer. No image of no artist should be taken without approval. There's no question about that. But in terms of acting itself, um, I think the more real that an actor is, the more you have a chance to move an audience. And at the end of the day, I think for me, that's what I'm after. That's the kind of storytelling that I find compelling. Because certainly, as I go to see all the Marvel movies and all the, franchises with my kids, and I can be impressed and in awe with visual effects and with special effects. If at the end of the day, bottom line, the acting doesn't do something for me, it doesn't move me, I don't care whether a chandelier falls or,
something blows up, or yeah.
There's wonderful tsunami waves that take over entire cities. I can appreciate it for a second, but if I am not moved,
yeah,
then it doesn't interest me. It doesn't hold me.
You have some special guests there, right? Who are scurrying around.
Yeah.
Well, if they jump in your lap, our viewers love when that happens, because it happens all the time to the guests.
Yeah.
They jump in the lap, the bird lands on their head. It's all part of it. We roll with it all. Are you the kind of person, Michelle, who when we went to movie theaters, and I hope that never goes away, because there is something about the experience of being in the movie theater and the sound and just the feeling of it, the size of the screen, but also the communal. I'm very communal as a person, so I love when we're all watching the Titanic sink, and we are all as humans with emotion feeling the same thing. No matter what our lives are about, no matter what we went through that day and what's going to happen tomorrow, at least in that theater at that time, watching that human experience, we're all connected. We're all feeling similar, if not the same emotions. And I love those types of things. And I hope that kind of communal experience never goes away in our society, because I think it's so important just in human relations and psychology and just the way people, our society needs to be together. But are you the type of person, and maybe I am too, I don't know, should I admit I am, that when you're in the car after watching a movie like the Titanic or anything that is powerful and moving, you're discussing it with the family and the friends or whatever in the car? Wow, that was amazing. Wow, that was extraordinary. Oh my God. Where sometimes the others in the car might say, it was a movie, we're done, now let's go eat. I'm the one who still wants to feel it and carry on what I've just experienced a little bit further and sort of discuss it, discuss the feeling of it. We don't have to talk about camera angles and all that other stuff, but discuss how it affected us, impacted us. Are you like that as well? Or are you ready to go to the restaurant?
No. So yeah, I go to the movies a lot with my family, with my kids, with my sister, and my sisters, plural. But my son studies film and theater at USC, and they, particularly my sisters, find us incredibly annoying when we go to the movies, because we're constantly whispering in each other's ears whatever discoveries we're making in the moment. So we really need to go to the movies, just the two of us, because we're kindred spirits as we watch. But no, of course, whether I go with friends to the movies or my family, I'm constantly, discussing the movie, unless it was such a terrible movie that there's nothing to talk about, in which case we will go to the restaurant. Yes.
You know, I find myself sometimes doing that too, especially with working in television, where we'll be as a group in the living room and we're watching a show or something, and I'll be saying, "Oh yeah, oh why did they take that shot? Oh, they didn't fade the black. Oh, you see the way the camera came down in the studio? They call that a jib camera." Like I'm teaching the family and friends some of the ways that the shows are put together. I even had one time we were watching just a regular sitcom, and it was an older classic one. And I said, "You want to see how much work goes into the production of just this half hour legendary comedic show? Watch how many times you see an edit, how many times you've seen the change of the image." And they're like, "Oh my God, I didn't realize what goes into just this enjoyment of this half hour show, but all the different things that are involved in it." And then it gives you a different appreciation of the craft itself, I find.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what art changes people's lives. I mean, we know that. And when people go to the theater and they talk about it afterwards, that's the objective. When you go to
Yeah.
movies and you're moved, and you go home and you hug someone or you reach out to someone, I mean that means that it worked, it did something. It
Yeah.
sparked anything. I think that sparks dialogue is interesting to me. But also there's entertainment that is purely, um, what is it called? There's a word for that. Um, mindless, but there's
Kind of where you're just enjoying it and letting the
yeah,
time
there's a
pass, and
word for that.
it's not too heavy. And
Exactly,
yeah,
and you don't have to talk about it too much, and you're just entertained in the moment, and then you go do something else and you move on. Guilty pleasure, that's what I was thinking.
guilty pleasure,
The guilty
exactly.
pleasures. There's, not too deep, and it doesn't have to be. And I think that has a place, very much so, in the entertainment world.
Do you have, as somebody who's immersed in this world, a few top five, maybe favorite films that come to mind for you?
Oh, I have more than five, but I mean,
10?
I particularly I love the romantic comedy When Harry Met Sally. I love that romantic comedy. I love Michael Mann's movie Heat. I've always loved Dr. Zhivago. There's too many to mention, but and then it's like filmmakers. I love, Hitchcock and Fellini and Mike Lee's movies and Scorsese's movies, and I love Woody Allen's movies. Robert Altman, certainly
Mm,
is a hero. Um, yeah, there's just so many wonderful movies all over
yeah.
the world, and of course now in the last decades, TV shows have taken over, and there's so many great TV shows I'm watching. I have a dance card with each one of my children. My son, that goes to film school and theater, is a huge fan of Mike Flanagan, so we're watching The Fall of the House of Usher together, and with my other son, we're watching Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad.
Oh, yeah.
So I have, with my sister, I watch Handmaid's Tale. So we have different shows that I watch with different people.
Good variety too. You know
Yeah.
what movies still come to mind for me as some faves, um, and they're older, but Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? Just
Yeah.
really always enjoyed just, and the music and the cinematography and just the depth of it, their facial expressions, and of course the message of the movie, but just the way it was shot and the theme and all of it was just, you're just left with a lot of different emotions. And another, of course, On Golden Pond
Oh, yeah.
was very touching. And of course, the score, the music underneath was extraordinary, perfectly done. And believe it or not, Neil Simon's The Out of Towners, the original one with Jack
Yes.
Lemmon and Sandy Dennis,
Oh, yeah.
getting
So
lost in New York as he's trying for the job interview, The Out of Towners. Just
that's
love that
yeah.
dry, witty, everyman sort of humor, which Jack Lemmon was one of my favorite actors because he was able to capture the essence of the struggles of the everyday man trying to make it, trying to just survive the idiosyncrasies of life. And the understanding of that. Neil Simon, of course, extraordinary with the understanding. I think Neil Simon was also Prisoner of Second Avenue when just that humor of how to deal with everyday life. I always found sensational. When did you decide to take all of this acting ability and expertise and then decide you want to teach, you want to inspire, you want to mentor others and show them different techniques, strategies, methods that they can use, maybe to make it a little bit easier for them, but also to give them a full understanding of the scope of what they're embarking on? When did that sort of click for you that you wanted to transition into becoming the teacher, the coach?
Well, that transition happened very organically. I was running an acting school and students asked me to coach them. And so I started to coach and more people asked me, and I had a lot of repeat actors, and I was going on auditions at the same time. And I found myself one particular day, I remember that was a turning point where I had 3 auditions and I had to drive to Pasadena, Hollywood, and somewhere else. It was going to be the whole day. And then I had 7 people had called me to coach them. So I had to make a decision. So I decided to not go on the auditions and I decided to coach instead. And I found it very fulfilling. It was something about, because I had studied so much, that I was able to pass down what I had learned. And I, had a good eye. I could see things and help actors and open them up emotionally. And then I started to coach, and then I started to teach classes. And I had many wonderful scenes of the Prisoner of Second Avenue and the Out-of-Towners, and some, I'm sure, on Golden Pond. And it was just, I love teaching. Listen, to this day, I teach. I'm directing now a lot. And in between, I teach. I just finished this last few months teaching several classes. I find a lot of joy in that. And it's something that I feel that I have to do. I have to pass it down because I was lucky enough to study with some great, iconic teachers. And I've traveled all over the world teaching my class, The Golden Box. And the students seem to benefit from this knowledge. And so it feels like a responsibility to pass it down.
I know we're focused on, some of the major talent that you've had an opportunity to work with, well-known iconic figures, celebrities, those are up and coming. But you've worked, in addition, you do beginner acting classes, children and teen acting classes. You've got international students, online acting classes. Tell us about some of the extraordinary resources that you make available to one and all. They don't necessarily have to be a well-known celebrity to benefit from what you do.
Well, first of all, I feel like we have 2 schools, the Michelle Danner Acting Studio and the Los Angeles Acting Conservatory. And we've assembled a group of teachers, of faculty, that is very inspiring. And one of the things that you hope, as a student, when you take a class or when you go to a conservatory and sign up for a program, is that not only you learn, but you keep being inspired. And so I feel like we've done that. I meet one-on-one with each student, and they talk about how wonderful our teachers are in our school. Just people love our teachers. And it's great because, I can't teach everything, obviously. And I've been on set working a lot. But I find teaching incredibly fulfilling. And it really just always warms my heart when I get this feedback from students, how happy they are that, we've created this community for them and this group of mentors that is able to, raise the bar for them and take them to the next level of their growth. So it's something that I feel is a wonderful thing that I have done, which is keep the acting school going through COVID, which was hard. But then that's when the Zoom classes started. At first I hated them, and then I learned to love them. And then it became just a great thing because all these students were signing up from different parts of the world. So it became international. So here you had some students from Istanbul and from Saudi Arabia and from Europe and from South America. and from South Africa, from Cape Town and Johannesburg. So I find that like fascinating that, 12, 15 people get together on a Zoom and start to create together and share artistic ideas and from different parts of the world. So that's worked out really well. And, obviously the Zoom has died down a little bit because people like to come in person and take classes. There's nothing like that interaction. But, the Zoom still is there, very much so, as we're talking right now, online.
You could be anywhere in the world, and teach
not in
them.
the same studio. So I think that this is something that has going to follow us. And a lot of people now do Zoom auditions, and Zoom.
Yeah, the self-taping and all that.
All
Yeah.
of this is happening on Zoom. And so at first, you have to learn a little bit because there's always the little delay when you speak. But I've learned to very much like it. And I think it's a great, great tool.
You're so right. It really is, because it's made things almost easier in certain respects, because again, you can get the material, you can sort of size up the situation a lot easier, which again is the advancement of technology and the pandemic. I always whisper that so YouTube doesn't go crazy. Has accelerated that. A lot of people who didn't know how to do it now are suddenly doing it. It's what are some of the things that for you love most about inspiring others and mentoring them and teaching them?
That I see the light bulb go off in their eyes, and that they feel that they've gotten something, that I've contributed something, that I've given something, and that they got it. There's something that, because we're a popular school in Los Angeles, very often if I'll go to a restaurant, there'll be somebody working there that inevitably would say, "Oh, I took your Golden Box class, and I learned so much. I grew so much. It moved me, it made me cry. I booked a job after that. I booked this or I booked that." And it's just very fulfilling. I'm very lucky I signed up for a very fulfilling profession.
And then the film directing, which is another aspect of what you do. When did that begin for you?
I was walking on the beach, which usually is where I make all my important decisions.
I'm an ocean person myself. Yes.
And somebody asked me to direct something, and I had this other movie that I was working on, and my first movie was the equivalent of going to film school, because I did not go to film school. My son is, but I'm not. But you have to be self-taught anyway, regardless whether you go to film school or not. And I decided that I wanted to be the one telling the story. I wanted to be the one to sign the canvas, to pick the colors, the texture, the size. I had acted in other people's projects, and I thought it was time to sign that painting. So I was excited to start to direct, and I've directed, I think, about 6 feature films, maybe 7, and a number of short movies. And it's just been an extraordinary experience. My last movie, Miranda's Victim, that came out a few weeks ago, had a premiere.
Congratulations on that.
It's something that was offered to me because the movie before that I did, called The Runner, garnered a lot of awards on the festival circuit.
It did.
And it was another great movie I worked on.
Tell us about The Runner first, and then we will talk about Miranda's, because this is an incredible one too.
The Runner came about because I watched the news show late at night, and it was about how high schoolers that sell pot and get forced by enforcement to go undercover to capture the big drug kingpin of the town. And I was like, oh my God, this is terrible, and the parents don't know about it because police is after a bigger fish, and they're so they bully kids into helping, and sometimes tragedy happens. I was very moved. I listened to the story that was playing and I was starting to cry. And I'm like, oh my God, I've never seen a movie that dealt with that subject matter. This is really timely. And I wrote the treatment and I called a friend of mine, a wonderful screenwriter, Jason Chase Terrell. And I said, can you please write this? Because it's meaningful. And he did. And we collaborated on several drafts together. And then I shot it. And I got this wonderful kid who I think is going to do really well, Edouard Philippe, who was a student of mine. I saw him act in class one night and I was like, my God, this is it. He's the one. And so I asked him to play the part of Aiden, the main kid that undergoes this, major roller coaster. And people seem to really like the movie. It's a thriller, psychological, and I love the fact that I came up with the story. So it really came out of me because I really wanted to tell it. And that's so crucial when you direct a movie, that you really should want to tell the story. Like, the need in you needs to be strong.
I love that you said a psychological thriller, because in that category of thriller or horror, what have you, I prefer the psychological thrillers where you are, is somebody behind the door? Is somebody under the bed? Is something happening to you, where you don't necessarily actually have to see, the actual, the blood and the carnage and all the other stuff. There is a place for that for folks that really enjoy that. But for me personally, I just love the ones where, even the Alfred Hitchcock, the Twilight Zone, where you're thinking about certain things and you're left with questions, and then maybe there's a twisted ending, or it really draws you in. Do you like psychological thrillers?
I love psychological thrillers. One of my very favorite genres. That and romantic comedy. I'm very eclectic in what I like.
Yeah.
So I watch everything.
Another one too is Bad Impulse. Tell us about that.
That's definitely a psychological thriller horror written by the same writer, Jason Chase Terrell. And I had a wonderful cast and I had fun shooting it, even though at some point there were the LA fires and we had to evacuate. So that was a little stressful. But Jane Seymour, the wonderful actress, offered us her house. And so we were able to go to her house to shoot, since we could no longer shoot where the fires were taking place.
Right. And what is this one about for the audience that might want to seek this out? And are these available streaming or Amazon Prime or anywhere they can go to watch them?
Absolutely. Yeah. This is, a family that puts in a security system. And little do they know what they're signing up for. If you believe Big Brother sometimes can look. I mean, my sisters have given me a lot of shit, because I have the Alexa in the house. And we know the Alexa many times talks back to you. But this story, Bad Impulse, takes it to a whole other level.
Sometimes I get mad because we have the remote for our Xfinity cable. And sometimes, it's also voice activated. You press the button, you can talk into the remote to the TV, and supposedly it'll bring you to the channel or the app or whatever on the television. And sometimes it misspells all these words. It's totally way off. And there was maybe once or twice, maybe thrice, where I've said a few choice words to the remote, and the wording on top of the screen says, "Sorry, I can't process language like that." Into the remote. It's Big Brother, exactly. We were sent actually a trailer from Bad Impulse, and I think we should be able to show that here to give people an understanding a little bit of it, a little bit of a teaser. So these are again available online, or?
Yes, you can watch them on Amazon, I think, is Amazon, but in different places online. Yes,
look for them as well. Here is a little bit of a clip, a little trailer for Bad Impulse, and then we'll have our very special guest Michelle Danner back here on the Jim Master Show Live.
satisfied with your current level of home security? Your home encased in a dome of protection, distinguishing between your wanted guests and the unwanted violators of your sacred space.
I need us to do this together as a family.
You are going to take the fall here.
What?
Our transmitter and microchip are atomically synchronized. No one else can wear this anklet now. It makes you safe. Isn't that what you want?
These anklets are doing something to us.
Your father needs you.
The murder-suicide. He's not human.
We just gave you what you asked for.
It's not too late. I love you.
You sleep with him?
Daddy?
Stay where you are, son.
Christine, sweetie, open the door.
Wow. I'll be back in a minute. We're going to check the doors, make sure they're locked. We're going to check in the closets. How long did it take to put that together? Riveting.
We shot for a month, I think. It was fun. It was a fun shoot. Like I said, the only thing was the LA fires was the big thing. But yeah, I mean, I think people said it's scary, which was the objective, to make a scary movie. I made the movie the kind of, I know that the first scene starts off very violent, and people would never think I'd direct something so violent, but I did.
Letting it all out. And then, of course, Miranda's Victim, which is something that, again, is literally, as they say, hot off the presses. Remind our audience about this particular story and case and how you were able to put this together in film form. And congratulations.
Thank you. Well, this is the true story that happened in 1963 to a very brave young woman called Patricia Weir, who was abducted and raped at knife point and fought for justice. And this is a story that gave birth to the iconic Miranda ruling that the Supreme Court, overturned. And that, created it after the Supreme Court overturned it, created the Miranda rights for people that get arrested. There are civil rights, liberties. So it's really a fascinating story about justice that comes full circle with a major twist at the end. And as you flashing through the pictures, I was lucky enough to get this cast, as you mentioned. Donald Sutherland was the first one who said yes. Andy Garcia, Kyle MacLachlan, Dan Lauria, Ryan Phillippe and Luke Wilson, and Abigail Breslin, and Mireille Enos, who plays the mother, the incredible, performance. But everybody, really comes through with a wonderful performance. Josh Bowman, Emily Mancam. I was so like Nolan Gold, who we've watched grow up in Modern Family, Taryn Manning. I was very lucky to have this cast that was so passionate about telling this important story that for some reason had never been told. Well, one of the reasons is because Patricia Weir didn't tell the story. So it took George Colbert, our wonderful, producer who came up with the story, wrote the story, for this to come to life.
And what was it like putting it all together? When did you start filming? Were you working on this during the pandemic time?
I was. As a matter of fact, I worked with a mask when we were shooting, with a clear mask, so actors could read my lips. They would let me do that with the COVID, rules. But I started to work on it a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. It takes 2 years, from start to finish. And that's a short amount of time. Often it takes so much longer. But there was something about this being meant to be, and the pieces of the puzzle coming together, and actors saying yes. And we found these amazing locations: authentic police station of the 60s, an authentic courthouse. Um, and we were able to shoot it a year and a few months ago. We finished shooting July of last year, and now it came out in October. So yeah, from start to finish, it went. It had its momentum, and now it's out. You can see it on demand. It's on demand in 4 different categories. It's on Apple TV. It's on Amazon, on Vudu, and it'll move on to different platforms. It's had a theatrical release. We've had premieres. We played many film festivals around the country, starting opening night at the Santa Barbara Film Festival and the iconic historical theater, the Arlington Theater. And then we played in other theaters, and recently we did it at the Avalon Theater, Catalina Island. We won awards for Abigail for Best Actress, Best Director, Best Movie. We've had a great festival run. It's not over yet. We were in San Diego last weekend. We also won for Best Movie, and I will be in St. Louis in a couple of weeks. And I have a DGA screening in New York and in LA. So I'm excited. I'm excited for people to see the movie and talk about it.
Do you know when the one in New York and the one in LA is happening?
Yes, the one in LA is happening this Saturday at 2 p.m. And the one in New York is happening the following Saturday. I think it's November 10th at 3 p.m. at the DGA Theater in New York City.
Very, very cool. That is fantastic. So, folks, East Coast, West Coast, she's got you covered there. She's even coming to St. Louis. She's going to the middle. That is really great. And you're probably already working on things going forward, even beyond this, right?
Well, currently I'm in the editing room. I shot this summer a movie called The Italians, a comedy that I talked about, and was a lot of fun. I had an incredible cast: Rob Estes and Matthew Daddario and Lainey Kazan and Perry Rice and Olivia Lucardi, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some people, but I had just a great cast. And I'm editing it, and I'm in preparing for other movies, but obviously SAG is in strike. So as soon as that gets resolved, which knock wood, it will happen soon.
Well, as things come together with that, feel
Yeah.
free to, let's connect again, and maybe I can have you come back, and maybe some of those performers can join us too, some of the cast, and we can talk about the movie and do a little promo for it. That'd be great. Love to do that for you.
That would be great. Thank you. Yes.
You mentioned MacLachlan, and I can't tell you how many times people have told me over the years that we're sort of, in a way, doppelgangers a little bit. And maybe it's that English-Irish thing that we have.
I can see it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when he was on Twin Peaks and in Desperate Housewives. There's a similar sort, and I've seen people have sent me photos of me and photos of him during that time of his career. I'm like, my God, yeah, we do look like we could be cousins, or some relations in Ireland or England or what have you. But it's amazing. Do you have a doppelganger? Have you found a doppelganger for Michelle Danner yet?
No, I have not.
She's the one and only.
Well, they say that somewhere in the world you have a twin, right? So
That's exactly right.
Someone.
Probably on the Twilight Zone, they had several twins. Creative Center for the Arts.com, and I know the website at the time of this broadcast is being worked on and built and moving forward. Tell us about the Creative Center for the Arts, and again, congratulations on that as well.
Thank you so much. Yes, this is, our theater, which we took a step back during COVID. We're preparing plays. I was working with the wonderful Ann Archer on a play, a one-woman show called Ticket to the Circus, which was written by Norris Church Mailer, the wife of Norman Mailer. And we're going to, I believe, revive that. We did it also as virtual theater. Um, and we have several plays that we're in the works for. So I love theater. I'm very passionate about it. I'm going to go to New York actually now and for Thanksgiving and for the holidays. And we're going to see so many shows.
Do you have any family on the East Coast?
Yes, I do. I have my sisters are there.
They're in New York?
They're in New York, yes.
Oh, that's terrific. That's wonderful. That is great. We'll have our arms open for you here on the East Coast. Lady Liberty will be welcoming you. That is so nice.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Well, holidays and family, they definitely go hand in hand. Got a couple of different websites we want to show everybody. Of course, there's yours, and there's the Creative Center for the Arts. And then tell us about All in Films.
Well, that's a production company. It's my production company, and it also co-produced Miranda's Victim and every movie that basically I'm involved with.
What would you say to somebody watching, Michelle, who loves this conversation and maybe they've always thought about entering this world and they don't know how to get started, they're unsure, maybe they've been told, don't try it, it's so difficult, it's 1 in a million. I know that a couple of people have come through, some really seasoned performers have said the advice that they've always given is, look, if 50% of you wants to be an accountant and 50% of you wants to be in the world of acting, become the accountant. Because if you want to go into the world of acting, you really do have to be in 100%. Would you say that's the case? What would you say to that person that's considering maybe connecting with you or pursuing this as a career and as a passion?
I think that if you are passionate about acting, it's your duty to pursue it. If you have those artistic genes in your DNA, you have to follow through. Now, by the same token, you might like accounting too, and that may be a side job that you could do. It's not a bad thing to know how to balance the books.
Actually, in the world of performance, to know the business side of it is actually advantageous, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. But if you you don't have a passion, you have to pursue your passion. You owe it to yourself.
And when you look back at your career and you see all the incredible things you've accomplished and all the people you're inspiring, what are some of those blessings and joys in your life, Michelle, that you still call upon that keep you connected, excited, passionate about the world that you're in?
Well, this collaboration with other artists, and I like to work with the same people. I like to create, a theater company on film, and I'm constantly reaching out to friends and cooking up something to be creative with together. I'm very grateful for that.
And we're very grateful for having you as a special guest here on the Jim Masters Show Live. This was really spectacular. Again, she's a world-renowned acting coach, everybody. Actress, film director, producer, and she loves what she does. She's passionate about it. She's taught some of the greats, and as of course, anybody who's interested in learning about the craft, the art, the science of acting, she is one of the best in the business. Michelle, I truly hope you enjoyed your time with me as much as I have with you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Congratulations on everything, continued success, and stop by and come see us again. We will, as I always say, keep the porch light on for you. You are welcome back anytime, and spread the word about our show as well if you can.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle.
Bye.
You take care. Cheers. The incomparable, legendary Michelle Danner here on the Jim Masters Show. Wow, that was fantastic. She really is an icon in the industry. She's been doing it a long time, and we're so honored to have had her here on the show. And again, you can go to her website. You can check out all the incredible things that she's involved in, which are a lot. We just really scratched the surface of some of the incredible things that she's been doing and that she's got her, hands in. She was raised in a show business family, as I mentioned, with a deep appreciation for all the performing arts. And this was great, wasn't it? For those of you maybe considering getting into acting, or those who've just been very fascinated about it, you just had one of the best in the industry who teaches it and has also been a performer, share some of her sort of insider secrets, her understanding of it all with all of us and with all of you here on the Jim Masters Show. We thank Michelle Danner for joining us here on the Jim Masters Show live series. We thank all of you for watching as well. We encourage you, of course, as always, if you enjoyed this episode, give it a like. There's a thumbs up icon, little thumbs up button on the YouTube channel. Click like, share this on your social media. Drop a comment in the comments section. Interact with us. We're a very interactive show. And subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, which doesn't cost anything, but it helps us grow. We thank you very much for those who click like, who leave comments, and who subscribe to the channel, because when you do that, it helps our show reach more people. When you click like and you leave a comment and you actually subscribe to the YouTube channel, we see that. We see the folks who do that. We appreciate that. We value that immensely. And it actually helps the Jim Masters Show live series reach many, many more people around the world who could become our friends. They could become JMS Lovities, just like you, and participate and interact and enjoy. So be sure and like, comment, subscribe on the YouTube channel itself, Jim Masters TV. Share the episode links on your social media and spread the word. Matter of fact, you can find me on all the social media as well at Jim Masters TV on X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as well. We're going to take a look at a couple of the viewer comments as well, as we have said au revoir to our fabulous guest, who has a very busy life in Los Angeles. And we're so happy to have her here. Lisa Barrett, watching in the UK. Hello to you, Lisa. And Merlin, happy birthday to Merlin. It's her birthday today. And she is in Ontario, Canada. And of course, Merlin welcomed Michelle to our show. We love that. And let's see, we got lots more in here. We'll scroll through a few. Happy Monday from Maureen in Arizona, Kathleen in New York City. Sherry Larson in Kansas is watching as well. We say hello to her and to everybody that's watching. Some that are comments, some that are just quietly watching, some that will comment on our YouTube channel. Even if you're commenting here in the chat room, we'd love it if you leave a comment on our channel. And thanks to all of you who have been doing that. And you have all, of course, welcomed our very special guest to the show, which is so kind of you and so cool. So thanks for all these great comments. We're just scrolling through a bunch of them here. Jen Barry's here. She's loving it. She's excited that tomorrow's Halloween. Happy Halloween to everybody at the time of the show. It's the night before Halloween. So we appreciate everybody there as well. And since Sonic is here, says hello to Michelle, our very special guest. Good to see you, Synth Sonic. And Kathleen, thank you as well. And Maureen, and because we say hello to everybody. And Merlin says hello to us both, Jim and Michelle. And this was really great. Terrific episode. We thank you very much again, everybody, for being with us. This was really, really cool. And let's see if we can scroll through a few more here. This has been wonderful. Thanks for being here with us, Michelle. Thank you. Jen Berry says, such a fun show tonight. Yeah, it was really, really cool. And Jane in Sweden is here. And thank you for being here, Michelle. Thanks, Jim. The pleasure is all ours here at the Jim Masters Show. Gang, we love having you here. We really appreciate it. And we'll be back. We have so many great shows coming up, extraordinary guests that are joining us. Take a look at the YouTube channel. You can see them all. And if you're watching this live, we'll see you on the next episode. If you're watching this in the archives, we thank you for watching as well. Stay right there. Another episode comes up of the Jim Masters Show Live. I'm your host, Jim Masters. Thanks for being with us. We love having you here. Come see us again on the Jim Masters Show Live series. Be well and cheers.